on that one. And I think we go. The dulcet tones of, Mr. Kent Spong, the competition winner. Yeah, a lot of comments on YouTube, actually, about that. It's the reason the tune is there is because it was voted for by our esteemed panel, and it was one of many tunes submitted. So anyway, thank you very much to Kent, and thank you very much for all my listeners. This is Sonic's Talk number 279, recording live today, Wednesday the 15th of August. You will be able to see it on YouTube, hopefully, if all the technology works. Shortly after this particular event, I'm Nick Batt, editor of Sonic State, and I've got a couple of people on the line with me here. Our two regulars. There's Mr. Dave Spiers, looking very sepia today. There's a sort of there's a sepia quality to your video. I'm not quite sure why that is, but Dave
back
Spiers,
in the 70s.
Back in the 70s. Well, let's just go. Hold on, let me get. We'll get a Dave. Oh, hold on, that all went a bit wrong. There's Dave.
Hello.
Sort of working. I might have to just tweak that a little bit because that isn't quite working the way I'd hoped it was going to.
I just found something.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know what it is, and that's always slightly worrying when you find something that
you've got a lot of analog gear.
Vaguely recognise, and you think,
what is that?
Where is that? I might have to keep that.
Oh, that is a bit disturbing. I hope it's...
Is that little plug to block up an ADAT port?
You could... No, it's not square, it's round at the end. It's not the old TOS, very inappropriately named TOS link. But yeah, weird. Anyway, there you go.
I'm just going to jig this about. There we go. Look, that's much better. Done selecting. I'll save that. Dave Spiers, G4 software, of course. By the look of what I just saw there, have you just sneaked something in? Is there more instrumentation in your room there, Dave? I think you know. I know there is because you told me before the show, and I'm outing you live on air. So what is it you've got there? Come on.
Man, I'm in so much trouble. We're supposed to be thinning out things because in preparation for hopefully a move, but yes, something arrived out. The full story is I saw something and said to Chris, that looks really amazing. And he I always know when he's up to something because he never says anything about it. He just kind of completely ignores it. Mm-hmm. And then about a week later, he said, I asked him a question about it and he said, what do you mean? Which is always a surefire thing to say, I've bought it. And I can show you this. I'll show you this very quickly. I literally just had to drag this into the room. So there's no evidence of it in the house before the wife got back.
Oh, it's a Juno 2012. No, it's a Prophet 10.
Ah.
You know what?
It's in mint condition.
You know what? When I was a kid, that was the one I wanted. Will from Golf Rap's got one of those as well, and it is absolutely fantastic. I'm very impressed. Anyway, I'm going to go. We'll go to Gaz now because he's there too. I'll see if I've got my switching's not quite right there. I've got to adjust you, Gaz. You need to be corrected. So while we talk,
yes.
Gaz Williams, songsurgeon.co.uk. Welcome to you, fresh back from Tokyo, as you were. Well, not quite fresh. Sort of it's getting a little bit longer in the tooth. So yes, in terms of your backness, I won't go on and on about meet and greet. Got some very harsh comments about me welcoming our guests last week.
Oh.
So. From somebody who it could be somebody who apparently is very big on radio production, and said I was not doing it right. But anyway, Gaz Williams, songsurgeon.co.uk resident. Your video's looking pretty good there. Nice to have you.
Yes, good. My band's old roadie Rob, he's got a Prophet 10. I might have mentioned it before because it was Jeff Downs from Asia. Used to belong to him.
But
underneath it's a big stencil saying Leo Sayer. So,
and when you play a note, it goes, "You make me feel like dancing."
Or more importantly, maybe it just makes you feel like dancing when you play it.
Oh, that sounded better than the Prophet.
You've gone a bit digital. Your bandwidth's gone a bit funny, I think. Video's looking good.
Oh, I was going to say the keys on Rob's Prophet 10 are really sticky and really horrible. It's a really horrible keyboard to play. I don't know if that's...
Because it belongs to Leo Sayer.
Oh, don't. It's what it is. It's probably ice cream and stuff like that. You know, it's just like I know he had a bit of a sweet tooth, and he probably just spilt lots of ice cream on the keys. Jesus. Look, let's not go there just yet. I mean, I can't imagine what else you could think it possibly was. So anyway, I'm going to go and see if I can get Rich Hilton and see if I can accommodate him in our wonderful Skype three-way conference. Just 1 second. You'll have bear with us, live chatties. Thanks very much, by the way, for joining us. I'm just going to see if I can fix that now. Right, so let's see if we can get Rich.
Rich probably knows Leo Sayer. Wasn't there a
He
picture
does.
of Rich and
He
Leo
does.
Sayer? There we go.
But-
Ask him about it. Ask him what that mysterious substance
But
is.
he doesn't call him Leo, does he? He calls him Gerard.
No.
What?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I can think of other names. I probably could.
Oh, look, just
Stop
Rich
it.
Hilton. Rich Hilton, Hiltonius, are you there? I can see it's starting to arrive. Rich Hilton. Hey, Rich.
Hello, fellows.
Hello, Rich. How are you? We're just waiting for you to. Let's see if I can get you in solo for. Oh dear, no, that's not quite right, is it? That doesn't quite. Yeah, that's not quite working, is it? I'm gonna have to do it all over again. Oh man.
Now I've done it.
Yeah, no, it's just all of this. No, it's all right. I might just switch. Oh, look at it. It's all bloody everywhere. That's the thing. You can never be sure. You see what Skype's going to do with the layout, and what I'm trying to do. I mean, if you see, what I try and do is I try and capture an area of the screen so that I can solo everybody, so that if anybody needs to have a scratch or an itch or is yawn more likely at my ramblings, then they can do it in the privacy of their own privacy rather than being broadcast everywhere in the world. Anyway, I'm not going to go on. I'm just going to say hello to Rich Hilton, Hiltonius.com.
Hello.
Keyboard player with Chic. Man's the controls of Nile Rodgers' personal studio. Have you been doing much personal studio manning this week? And now you're back from your travels.
Yes, I have.
Got an interesting project on.
Well, yeah, there was a. Yes, I've been very busy.
I'm sure you can't talk about it, but
Well,
I always like to put you on the spot just to see how you react.
It involved a lot of scoring in this case, and it's something that. Well, I'm getting better.
Cool.
I'm getting better at it. I'm still not very good at it, but I'm getting better at it.
Right. Well, let's begin. Let's just get on with it. First thing is obviously this is the Mopho X4 that's been announced by Dave Smith. There he goes, doing a lovely filter sweep. The Mopho X4. Let's see if I can find. I've probably got a picture of it that might be a bit more appropriate. I won't play it all, but there it is in its beauty. I can probably switch a few more shots. It's essentially I don't know if you were aware the Mopho keyboard was about not that big, but this has got 44 keys, got 4 voices, and it's out. It's also got aftertouch and weighted keys, which is always nice to see on smaller keyboards, and even the Mopho had that as well. So this is essentially a four voice Mopho. And I know a lot of people really dug the Mopho. I mean, when I did the review, I do remember thinking it sounded a bit like a polysynth trapped in a mono synth body, and now it's actually become a polysynth. It's sort of blossomed like a, I don't know what you would call it. Like it's come out from its cocoon. Gaz is not looking all that positive about that. Do you like the Mopho, Gaz?
Yeah, sorry, it was just that your voice was coming out in crazy echo for us on Skype here. So
Has it gone now? Is that better?
it's fine. Yeah, I've got Mopho. I agree with you though. I think it's the polyphonic nature or lack of nature of the Mopho. That makes this thing a very interesting thing. I was wondering why they didn't call it the Tetra keyboard though. That was the thing that kind of puzzled me a little bit.
I think the Tetra is multi-timbral. And the X4 is not multi-timbral, which is causing some people a little bit of strife. They're sort of a little bit upset about that because obviously even if it was just duo timbral, it would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you can't have everything. I mean, but what do you find the Mopho works well for you? Because I must admit I went to listen to it the other day when I was working up with the guy from the Gadget Show. He had one of those as part of his setup, and it sounded absolutely massive, much bigger than I remember. I mean, he did have a huge subwoofer there, and there it is. Oh, you've got a Tetra.
I know. No, that's
Mopho
the
desktop. Ah, right.
Yeah,
You haven't
yeah.
got a Mopho keyboard. What are you using it for then?
Nothing.
Brilliant. It's actually a mouse mat.
No, it's really cool actually. I sometimes plug it into. Well, it was plugged into the audio input on my Gaia and MIDI'd up to that, so I can mix it in with the Gaia. But I don't really use it very much, partly because I just don't like the operating system of there, really. I think there's a software version of it as well, but I don't find that a whole heap of fun. But it's a good thing, and it does sound good, and it really sounds good when you enable an audio input and don't plug anything in and use the kind of the audio gain, and you get this kind of nasty distortion thing coming on. That's really cool. That's quite similar to the brute factor, I believe, in the new what's it called?
Mini Brute, the Arturia. Yeah, he's got that audio feedback loop that you can get some pretty full-on.
And that is definitely the killer feature on that thing there, and you can really make it sound really nasty and dirty, and it's cool. It's cool. There's an audio input on there, and I thought that was going to be pretty cool, but it's okay. But I am because there is a thing where you can have a sequence, that can sequence any of the parameters, and you can advance the sequence with an audio gate thing. So if you're playing a riff, every note that you play in will advance the sequence in your own time rather than based on the time.
You step it. That's kind of. I mean, I guess the thing is about analog is you want the knobs on it. So I mean, the Mopho desktop has got all of that, and the X4 has also got it. So it's kind of fun. I mean, Dave, another Dave. We haven't actually. Have you got any Dave Smith Instruments stuff?
Only what I've just picked up, and mine might have belonged to Leo Sayer as well. Because check this out, preset 1. There you go.
Yes, Dave. For those Rich, you probably just missed this. Dave Spiers has just taken delivery of a Prophet 10, which is lurking in the corner. And Gaz was mentioning that he also had access to one that was actually pre-owned by Leo Sayer. And we were wondering, we think we may be wrong, but we think you may have had some kind of a connection with Leo Sayer in the past, Rich, and you may have actually touched the very same Prophet 10 in some way or form.
No, I never played keyboards in the same room with Leo Sayer, but he's my buddy.
Yeah, well, there we go. So that's that cleared up. But Dave, I mean, you haven't got any of the modern stuff then? Just the.
No, I'm really sorry, and I'm really sorry because this came in a separate email, which I've only just noticed. I was looking at the first email going, oh, how come I haven't seen this? Because actually it's quite interesting. So please, those who know, continue, and I will listen and learn for a change.
All right then, Rich. It's over to you. Rich Hilton. Have you got any Dave? You've got the Prophet 08, haven't you?
We've got a Prophet 08 keyboard.
Okay, and I mean... There are some differences. I think the Mofo's got the sub-oscillators, which gives it a little bit more woof, am I right? But less voices. It's only got 4 voices. I mean, there are other architectural differences as well. Do you find you're using the Prophet 08 a lot?
No. I don't. But I don't have a lot of call for analog synthesizer in the work that we do.
Right.
When I do have call for it, I might use it, and often use the Mini Moog that I have. And then again, I often use software synthesizers.
Yeah, it's interesting that. I mean, how good does a hardware synth have to be before you'll pull it, before it gets you reached for but over a software synth? I mean, is it about convenience really? Because I mean, you're not going to have them all plugged in all at the same time. So as you can always call up a soft synth fairly quickly, right?
Well, yes to all of that. I mean, I could have them all plugged in at the same time, and actually the Prophet, you just reach over and play it, and it always plays, and it's always sending MIDI. So it's quite easy to use. So it's not an ease of use thing. It's what's the shortest path to the best result to complete this musical task that I set before me, like everything else. And as regards the Mini Moog, there are certain cases where none of the virtual simulations will do something exactly that I need it to do. And they get close enough, but I've got the real thing right here. Why do I have to get close?
Exactly. I mean, it's just more instinctive, isn't it, a lot of the time?
The Mini Moog to me is just like an old friend. I can operate it in my sleep. You know, it's just you reach. I know if I have something in mind that a mini moog will do well, I could just reach over and it just comes very quickly.
Just got to remember to put a bit of high pass filter on it.
I do.
Well, I do because it just always takes up too much space in the mix. I haven't got any room for it. It's just like, just out of the way a sec. I need something else in my mixes. As I've said before, my typically 8-bit kind of only barely stereo, drastically reduced 320 kilobits or less MP3 style stuff with far too much compression on them. But, you know, I bow to somebody who has a lot more capability in that department.
No, I like it. I hardly ever roll off bottom. And if anything, I might run it. I don't know. I have really great Pultec filters right next to it. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should try that, Nick.
I'm sure I'm not teaching you anything that you don't already know 100
everything
times over.
There's a lesson in all of this somewhere.
Okay. Well, that's the Mopho. The Mopho X4, let me just get an eye. It's same voice architecture as the Mopho keyboard. If I go to web, you can see it there. It's got expandable with the Tetra 4. You can stick a Tetra 4 in it and get 8 voices. 4 times the voice for your pleasure. Work less, play more. It's available now. 44 weighted keys, aftertouch, as I said. $12.99 US, which I'm not sure what that'll work at. Maybe about 800 quid. I think the Mofo's about the Mopho keyboard. It's about 550. So maybe the X4 will be in the 800 mark. I mean, there are people sort of saying, well, yeah, maybe I should just save a little bit more and go for the Prophet 08. But the voice architecture is a bit different. You've got, if I remember correctly, you've got one or a 2 or a 1 and a 2 octave sub. So you can get some quite complex. Quite fat waveforms through that, which you can't get on the Prophet 8, if I recall. I have not reviewed the Prophet 8, so it's a bit difficult for me to be absolutely sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's next? I think what's next is we could probably go and get Mark Tinley because he has just arrived. And his excuse was, I was early 1 minute and the next minute I was 20 minutes late. How about that? That's a sort of excuse that would work at school, but not in my watch, I tell you. Right, I'm going to go and see if I can get... let's see, we go get Mark. Where am I looking here? I'm looking for him here. Let me see. There he is. Let's go get him. And that might actually rechange the layout once again. So, yeah, it has. Excellent. Mark Tinley, come in, please. How are you? Are you there?
I'm all right.
Excellent. You know, just waiting for you. Hold on. Oh, there he is. Let's see what's going on here. Let me see if I can get back to my... I just need to How are you, Mark? Are you well?
I'm all right. I literally went to make a cup of tea at 5 to 4. I put my tea bag in, filled the teacup up. I turned round, and it was 20 past 4. And I thought, how the hell did that happen? And I said to Gina, because at 5 to 4, she handed this computer over to me. I said, what the hell's happened? She said, that clock's been doing that all day. We've got one of those atomic clocks. And it's having a little bit of a problem getting a signal from Switzerland, I think. Maybe
really? Oh, so it just kind of like went, and there it all came.
Forward,
so time has just been compressed and expanded. That's amazing.
The bizarre thing is I've been writing about that today as well for my book. So it's kind of weird that I was writing about time and then the whole thing went, there's me making meaning, but whatever.
Are you actually, I can see that you're in bed and you've got the same pillow covers as I've got.
Don't get up, please.
He's in your bed.
He's in your bed. What the hell are you doing in my house? That's why you were late. You've been burglarising me. Right. Oh, it's all going a bit. Yeah, right. There we go. You're back again.
Don't get up, please.
I've got a house full of boisterous children, and I figured this was maybe the best place to be. Actually, it's slightly quiet.
You could well be right. Anyway, Mark, let's get on to our. Let's see, what was I going to have next? This was quite cool. I think it's quite cool. I mean, we have covered this a little bit before, but let me just see if I can get this. This is the. No, it's not that one. It's that one I want. This is the news that Google have just updated. They are Hangouts on air, making live concerts more awesome with studio mode. Because previously, I've done some testing because I think it's getting to the point where we might actually get better results if I just use Google Hangout for this whole thing, because everything Skype is getting. I was listening back to some old.
Really?
I was listening back to some old Skype. Some old podcasts because now you can get all of our podcasts on SoundCloud. I've imported. They wrote this in RSS feed importer, sort of partly down to my specification, which I feel very chuffed about. To say, it would be great. I'd love to move stuff over to SoundCloud, but I really don't fancy entering all the details for 300 podcasts in manually. And so. Listening back as I was going through it, they sounded so much better than we seem to get out of them at the moment. So anyway, this is news. So I'm thinking about using Google Hangouts, and Google Hangouts have just got very cool because what they've done is they've added a studio mode. There's a Hangout studio test. I'll try and play this. I think it might work. You never know. This is a band doing, because lots of bands are doing this where they're doing Hangouts and they're doing live gigs. And they're called Sweet 79. This is studio mode off. Let's see if it's going to...
Well, you can get up, stay on the ground.
Of course, the irony is that I'm now rebroadcasting this over Skype and you won't be able to tell the difference at all. But we'll wait for the studio mode on, and I can tell you...
Well, you can get up, stay on the ground.
It's a world of difference.
Hoping for
I'm going to stop that there and come back to me. It's a world of difference, and the reason it's a world of difference is because it's got stereo and it's got just a much broader and more interesting... sorry, I thought I'd crash then. I'm nearly losing everything. It's all going crazy. It's got a much broader and sort of stereophonic sound, and it just seems like... we are, we periodically talk about this kind of thing. I mean, we're talking about sort of holographs or what have you, but this could be actually a very cool thing for people to do gigs, because now with YouTube, the things with Hangouts, we may have spoken about this before. You can do your Hangout. You can have up to 10 people participating in it as in terms of feeding back, but you can broadcast it to as many people who can watch via YouTube, and the whole thing is then recorded via YouTube and stuck up online in your YouTube account, which I think once they fix the video aspect to it, that might be even more interesting. I don't know, what do you think about this, Rich? Because I mean, I'm guessing that is it likely something that's going to enter your world, or perhaps maybe your sons would be maybe doing some performance with this? It's the sort of thing that could really kind of rock, I reckon.
It could. And actually, I know the girl who is sort of the queen of Google Plus, who started all this with them and did the first musical Google Hangout with.
Wow,
and
that's
got
cool.
support from them, and they've been flying her around the world and stuff. She's right here in Newtown. Her name's Daria Musk. She's a very talented girl.
She was one of the first musicians to start doing it.
She may be the first. She's like I said, she's like become the queen of Google Plus in a weird way, and I think it's great. She's really working it, and it seems like it's going well for her on some level. And her dad's a great guy. He's her producer, and they do great work together. He's also her bass player, and nice folks, and I'm really happy for them. So that's sort of my connection to all this, but I don't really have any sort of opinion about it other than that if it works for her, I'm really happy.
Well, I think it's great that they're going to, improving the quality is going to be great. I mean, I think it could work really well perhaps here if we get the just purely because it simplifies things a lot. And if I could get our hardware to be able to just sort of stream straight into the Google, the only thing that I find a little bit problematic with the whole concept is the fact that it's browser based. And I probably prefer to have it in a kind of in an application that was kind of more stable rather than so I could just kind of launch Google Hangouts and have a pipeline straight through rather than some plugin in Chrome. I don't know. Gaz, I'm guessing you do quite a lot of gigs as well.
I'm really excited about this for numerous purposes. Firstly, I've been looking for a situation for a while where if I'm doing unattended mastering or mixing sessions, I can get the client at the end of the line and give them a kind of a feed of what I'm currently doing. Maybe open up a Skype or a FaceTime sort of window, maybe on another device, so we can have face-to-face communication and have that kind of quality stream going on. In fact, I was going to put it out as a question to to everybody to find out if there was something that could do this. So this come in the nick of time. So I think that is. I don't know that that's necessarily what it's designed for, but I'm sure it will kind of do that. Okay, you can have private channel, can't you, with these?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't think it's that. I mean, I think it may be hard to tell, if you're saying, has this got too much top end or whatever. I mean, probably work for, like, I think we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? Like track spacings and that kind of thing, where you feel sort of the...
Yeah. I mean, absolute audio fidelity isn't uber essential, but sort of, decent quality, better than what I've currently been trying to do, would be really appreciated. But also, I think that the thing about doing gigs or even rehearsals and just streaming them live for anyone who may be interested is quite an interesting idea to do as well. One of the groups I play with is very improvised, very, very much based about improvisations. And I've been wondering about that in the past. We do these great improvisations in the rehearsal room, and sometimes feel it's a shame that there's not a chance for people to kind of listen in on those. So yeah, I'm definitely going to investigate it. I think it's sort of I think it's very exciting, that side of things, definitely.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of thinking there could be a whole way of doing, like, because we've just done a competition on YouTube, actually, which you just finished, to win a Scarlett 2i2. Which was, we just did it, and it was the idea, last comment wins, and I came up with a time in my head, which was in fact 21 hours and 20 minutes after I posted the video. I don't know why nobody ever thought of that, but there was a winner, and we're still waiting for them to get back to us. But the idea of having these kind of interactive competitions where you can kind of do things like that, but also, just to be able to have, look, I'm here with, a synth or the Behringer X32, just tell me what you want to see and I could switch things out, whatever. That sort of hands-on element to gear reviews where you can get questions, because at the moment it's one removed, so we have this idea that you I'll do one part of a review, say, got any questions, and then I'll try and address them in the second part. And it's, so what happens is I shoot the video and then 3 more questions come in, but I've already shot it, so I can't, I can't. But so there's some interesting applications from a gear review point of view. I don't know, Mark, lying there in your, I think it's definitely yours. I haven't got a brass 4-poster bed like that. I hesitate to ask you what you might want to broadcast with your newfound audio fidelity on Google Plus Hangouts, but is it something that you could kind of see working? Because you're very much a man of the moment. You like to write songs quickly and kind of do that. Is this a possibility for you?
What you said about gear reviews is interesting, because you've given me an idea, and I've been thinking of a way to do this, and this is that different people have different sets of gear all around the world. And I think there was a company, I can't remember who was doing it, which you could send them an audio file, they'd put it through a reverb, and they'd send back out the other end to you processed. Now, it's got to be getting to the stage now that and it might have been Altiverb or someone, but I can't remember exactly who it was, but it's got to be getting to the stage now where you could do that with physical spaces, right? So you could have a Google Hangout. I could be in a grain silo in Cambridgeshire with a reference microphone and a nice reference speaker, and you could call me up and say, hi Mark, I really want you to get a reverb sound from that place for me, and then we could interact on where I was going to put the microphones, and you could watch me put the microphones on. I said, no, can you move it to the left a bit, to the right a bit? Any kind of situation like that where you could interact with somebody in a space that you're not in, and then capture the sound of that space. I'm gesturing over there, aren't I?
That's interesting. I mean,
it should be that could be really interesting. But old gear as well. You could say to someone, no, just turn the knob like a little bit more around to the right. If you could see what people were doing, you'd have a much more interactive kind of, somebody. If I fed a sound across the internet and through, I don't know, one of those big old EMT plates, and there was a guy there, and I was going like, no, pull the lever more that way.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, I'm trying to remember what the it was a massive concrete silo, wasn't it? And you could upload your WAV, and then it would come back to you after it got. We did
Xylophone.
Xylophone, yeah. It's an interesting idea. I mean, I think because of the real time aspect of it, people would have to queue. I mean, would you think there's a commercial model for that? I mean, is it something that's
they'd have to get into the room, wouldn't they? So how does Google Plus work? Does that have like a monetizing kind of edge, side to it? Do people pay to go in the room for those big artists or the bigger ones that are sort of streaming?
I don't think so at the present, but I mean, it can't be a difficult problem to solve for that, I suppose.
We just give them a private URL via a PayPal checkout, and they'd have to pay with PayPal. They'd get the private URL and But I'm sure there's ways of setting that e-merchandising and everything. There's bound to be ways of setting that up. I just don't understand it.
No, well, I'm sure it's possible. It's not an impossibility. I know, Dave Spiers, you're kind of looking thoughtful there. Have you got some ideas? Because you've got a room full of old synths there, I think, haven't you? Would you kind of like your interactive hangout where you could just kind of, somebody could just send you some real-time MIDI and you could just kind of, play it for them and then send it back. And they just tweak it a little bit. I'm looking for a bass sound on that synth, please. Can you just feed the sound to there and record me that? I know. I'm kind of I'm riffing on this a little bit.
Definitely clutching there.
Let's all go to Dave's house.
Yeah. That would be a good idea. Yeah, I'm sorry. Again, this was on the other email that you sent through. So
well, it's just this much higher quality studio algorithm. They call it studio algorithm, and it's stereo, and so you're going to be able to get a little bit more kind of fidelity and more like being there. I don't know, but I mean that real time interaction. I mean, is it likely to work?
What, from my perspective?
Yeah, I mean, what would you use
for
it
me
for?
demoing stuff?
I don't know.
I mean, we've talked in the past, haven't we, about the whole trade show thing, being able to kind of queue people up and go, right, okay, so this is what we're launching and we're launching it now. And you don't have to stand there and kind of put up with the very bad smell of crimpline and nylon sweat. You can do it in your own home with even more sweat. No, I don't know. It's interesting. But I mean, obviously, the better the quality, the better the end result's going to be. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in this from another perspective, unfortunately, which I can't talk about, which is why I was looking thoughtful, because this is definitely going to impact on something I was asked to be involved in.
Ah, interesting. Red Walks in the chat room says that's a brilliant Google Peepshow. I think that's just an absolutely fantastic, a fantastic idea for a show title, amongst other things. So thank you very much for that, Red Walk. Anybody got anything to add then? I mean, have we kind of exhausted the possibilities of this? I mean, I think that for gigs and for that sort of thing, if you could monetize it and the technology is going to be there and you can stream it, in a decent enough quality, then why not? You could, I mean,
she just did do a live gig with it.
Ah, what? Your friend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and publicized it, and I guess a lot of people watched. They actually, apparently, in response to the way she was being responded to, opened up originally you could only have 10 people in a hangout.
Yeah.
And somehow they've opened that up and created this whole format around the fact that they had to open up separate servers on her and stuff. They had like hundreds of people watching this girl at a time. And
you can actually now, it used to be limited to 10 people at a time, but now you can have those 10 people, but you also have multiple, it also streams out via YouTube to whoever wants to watch. It goes out via your channel, or I'm not sure. It depends on, it's going to depend on your connection quality ultimately, because that's the worst thing about all of these things.
You have 10 people in the room, and then there's a stream as well, then.
Yeah, so the 10 people, the 10 people can interact.
Yeah.
And the 10 people can interact, but the unlimited people can listen. And I was messing around with it a little bit, actually. You can do lower thirds that look actually very similar to this, and there's stuff that, desktop and things. But as I said, I just think doing that via a browser, I'm not so comfortable with, because it's not particularly memory efficient. And, if you've got lots of video stuff going, and I mean, it's going to be, how do you capture it at your end? Because I would rather capture it at high quality and then upload it myself while, as a placeholder, than leave the YouTube one as a placeholder than have all of that stuff.
I mean, you might have problems with audio as well, because whenever I do anything with audio in a browser, there's always a problem with being able to set the buffer length. So if something starts dropping out and clicking and stuff, there's nowhere that I can work out anyway where I can go and sort of fiddle around with that. So if anybody knows how to do that, I would love to know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, the browser is rather closed anyway. Okay, I'm going to now. Time's moved on. Let's switch back there. I think they're experiencing a bit rather. What's the word? Ironically, people watching this live stream are experiencing a bit of lag, so that's just the way it works. Let me see. Right, I think it's probably time just to say thank you very much to our show sponsors. Who will probably play shortly. There we go. Hello. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you very much to Yamaha. A world of applications, to be honest. There's over 20 applications available in the music category alone. Yamaha taking the application world very seriously. You've got simple MIDI control apps like synth art and drum pad, which actually got much deeper with the inclusion of 61 separate synth sounds and 7 drum kits. Setlist organizer, which is allows you to program MIDI controls and notes to go along with the tune. It'll send out all the bank. You can set up to 5 MIDI program changes per song and song section. Edit and control, voice editor for the Motif XF, Mox, S90X, S70X, Motif XF and Rack XS, which give you access to quick edit functions, mixer, effects and MEQ modes. There's the voice editor essential as well. The same range of keyboards give you EQ, cut off, portamento, all of that kind of stuff. There's faders and X and Y pad to allow you to kind of get more gestural control of your Yamaha synth over a larger kind of area. There's the setlist organizer there actually, and I think we reviewed that on Sonic Touch and I was very impressed with it. I thought it was a very cool thing. So once again, I want to say thank you to Yamaha for their continued sponsorship of the show. We really do appreciate it. And if you want to check out some of their apps, you can just go to the App Store, search for Yamaha, and they should show it. As I say, there's over 20. Go onto the web, www.uk.yamaha.com. Thank you very much for their continued sponsorship of the show. Right, what's next? I think we can't really delay much longer. I know Mountain Lion has been causing all sorts of grief to all sorts of people. I know last week, particularly, Gaz was rather... basically, he was tearing his hair out, and his computer was causing him all sorts of problems. In fact, if I go to web, there seems to have been this bug which has... if I find my mouse here, sound stuttering after Mountain Lion installation, and it seems to... what it does is... There's some sort of background process which actually just seems to have... noticing there's a bug involving sound where the whole computer freezes, audio locks up, and you just can't kind of use the computer. And at the moment, there doesn't seem... This was posted the 9th of August on CNET, so pretty recently. Mountain Lion's only been out, 2-3 weeks at the most. And the system can become unresponsive when stuttering happens, but usually it gets working again after a moment. And the only real kind of workaround at the moment appears to be like downgrading your operating system install, which seems like a bit mad. So Gaz, first of all, you upgraded to Mountain Lion, right?
Yes, I don't know why I was so eager to do that, really, but I did.
That was going to be my first question.
I think it was partly because of this iPad show that we did. I wanted to sort of have a look, that we do rather, that I wanted to sort of see what, the integration was like of the iOS and the Mac, So that was kind of a motivation, but what I wasn't anticipating was the problem that I had as a result with Mountain Lion. And basically what happened in my case was that my system fans were on full blast all the time, making a real kind of racket, and also running the battery down in about an hour as well if I was using it sort of without being plugged into the mains. So this was a bit of an issue, and having a look around on the internet, there was just countless amount of people experiencing the same problem. I contacted Apple's support, and they didn't acknowledge any issue with that. They got me to do a few standard things which didn't solve the problem. I talked to Rich here, who's very helpful. He pointed me in the direction of a little app called, what's it called, Rich? It's called, it's a little thing that you can...
Is it like System Profiler kind of thing?
It is.
iStat menus.
Yes,
Thank you,
iStat
Rich.
menus. Yep.
Thank you. iStat menus, which gives you like a constant monitoring of what's
I'm going to play
on.
some blues while we talk about this now. Go ahead, please carry on.
Well, I woke up in the morning and my
Mountain Lion Blues.
overheating. Okay, so what I found then was with a combination of that and the activity monitor, certain apps were kind of really causing my CPU to max out. Disabling iCloud in its entirety on my Mac sorted the problem out. So once I'd actually sort of, just turned it off, then fan back to normal, everything's cool. So I've currently got iCloud.
Or hot. Sorry, I couldn't resist that.
Yeah, but I've got iCloud currently disabled. I will eventually turn it back on once there's been some system upgrades. I think it's something I'm not quite sure why that was still, but at least I know that's what I'd recommend if anyone's having this same problem. Just try disabling it for now and see if that cures.
Did you find that there were processes when you were looking that were obvious? What were the processes was it the iCloud process?
Well, they were like, I didn't know what they were. It was only by researching them on the internet that I found that they were related somehow to iCloud, and then by disabling iCloud, the problem went away. So it was a little bit of an investigative process, really.
And that sorted it out completely.
In my case, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
one of the things I would say, if you think about it, cloud computing is great for some things and fantastic, but for real-time OS, essentially what you're looking at really is a really, really slow disk controller. So if you imagine this, you're writing something to your drop, your folder that is watched or whatever, or your assets that are then synced up to the cloud, it's getting written to the file fast at your end, and then this sort of slow trickle up to the internet, depending on your bandwidth, is then kind of it's just incredibly slow I/O. I don't know, Rich, did you get? You've been there. You presume you bought a new computer recently, right? So you presumably had it installed from the get-go. It came with it, right?
No.
Lost in Music.
It came. Yeah, there's a song about that. It came with Lion installed. However, I have been running Mountain Lion, and I don't dislike it. And it didn't cause any major issues like it caused for Gaz, but I didn't put it on a laptop yet. So,
well, one of the things that's been, there's a very interesting blog from Peter Kerr. I think if I go there. Blog post from him where he's just talking about the things that you should watch out for. Gatekeeper is also something that should be disabled because that's the sort of sandboxing security, and that causes pretty much any installer that's not security savvy to not work, because it's got this kind of system in place where it tries to sort of protect you from yourself in case you are installing something that might not be well signed. I guess it's a bit like the Microsoft signed drivers kind of idea, which I'm guessing, it seems like a great idea in some respects, but must be an absolute nightmare for a software developer to try and then sort of jump through the hoops to get that to happen. I don't know. Maybe I'm wondering. You can see where I'm going with this.
With this bad boy almost instantly.
Sorry.
One of the first things I did when I got my first copy of Mountain Lion is start installing stuff that wasn't purported to work.
And it worked okay.
How do you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you uninstall it?
How did I install it?
Uninstall Gatekeeper. Is it something that?
I don't recall.
Doing the system prefs.
Yeah, I might do that. They've always had File Vault, for example. I've never had that going.
No, me neither.
So I'm not likely to take their word for it on this either. No, I just, I do religiously sort of back things up, at least to Time Machine, and semi-religiously to a clone drive. But it's, I don't know. Seems like it is to Lion sort of with me like Snow Leopard was to Leopard. It just feels a little leaner, a little slicker, a little faster.
One thing that people are saying is that they're recommending that you should be basically having 8 gigs of RAM as a starting point to kind of make sure it's to get the most of it. I don't know how true that is.
I don't either, because it seems to run quicker and leaner to me. But maybe I'm guessing on that. I don't run too many computers with less than 8 gigabyte of RAM anymore anyway. But a laptop will often have 4, and I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
I think it's more memory. Now, I could be wrong about this. I'm not well read on the subject, but the whole feeling of the thing is faster, slicker to me. I'll be looking. I'll like it better when the stuff I use every day runs on it. But in the meantime, I keep it on a separate drive and visit now and again and wave back at my old partition and say, "Hi, how you doing? One of these days, you will be mine." And that's how it goes. It's. Never look at this. Shane is like in capital letters. Never use File Vault.
Well, I don't know, Dave Spiers. You're kind of you've probably seen it from the pointy end, because presumably people have been trying to install your stuff on Mountain Lion, and these are installers and software packages that you wrote prior to its release. So I mean, what are the kind of issues that you're seeing as most?
I think we're okay at the minute. They have to be. There's all sorts of techie stuff that you have to adhere to, including. I mean, the actual signing stuff we think is quite a good idea. I mean, basically, you've got two choices, haven't you? You can do it or not do it and ask people to bypass it. At the minute, we're asking people to bypass it because obviously we are really focusing on the 64-bit. But John is kind of looking at installers and revisiting things. The signing's been a bit of a pain in the arse. So, yeah, or you can just... But either way, we intend to whinge about it. Perhaps Richard would like to play some comedy music now.
Can you do Benny Hill, Rich?
No, I don't think I know Benny Hill.
No, I'm a gatekeeper. I'd recommend certainly with if somebody's updating from let's say Lion to Mountain Lion, it's not been that much of an issue. But if they're buying a new computer, putting Mountain Lion on it, and then trying to reinstall all their old stuff, then they're going to run into grief. And I've said it a million times on this podcast. You deserve to run into grief if you update. Now I know that there is another. Iteration of Mountain Lion coming out pretty soon, actually. So hopefully that might sort a few audio things out. We, from a developer's perspective, or dealing, from me dealing in the front line, we've had a few people who have said it's been good, and a load of people. It's probably been about 50-50 actually. 50-50. Some have gone back. Some have even gone back as far as 10.6.8.
That's where I am actually. I mean, I haven't gone any further than that. I'm just because everything kind of works here. I mean, I did get Canvas a few questions via Storify, just Mountain Lion Audios, and Failed Muso Rob Puri-Cherry said that basically all of his stuff worked fine. He hasn't had to update all his drivers, and installation was a breeze. Best upgrade yet. Access Virus plugin didn't work okay for Mauricio Daniel Maranello. And what was it that Kiwi Steve Currington, he only had to update his driver to public Vitas, which is the potential Mountain Lion update. I mean, it seems from the stuff that I've been reading, it's down to also down to the actual device drivers as well. We're getting some grief with this, particularly on USB. Apparently all the Motu stuff is going okay, so people are able to work with that. And but some other USB audio interfaces. So you're going to want to check. I mean, but above all, if you're going to do any of this stuff, just make sure you back up, clone your drive first. There's no point in.
I think Richard's idea is the best idea.
Yeah.
Just petition it on another drive and let that do the work for a little while, and then gradually you can migrate everything over. But I mean, if you need your computer to work every day, just don't go wading into it and expect everything to be hunky-dory. It never is.
No.
I know this, and what did I do? I went wading straight in.
Gaz, I don't know what to say, really. I mean, victim of your own enthusiasm there, I think. But, I mean, but it does bring up some other issues. I mean, because there's also talk, Chris Randall, who's written some interesting blog posts on this. Is he the audio damage guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of plugin development. I mean, he's kind of bemoaning the fact that, now we're getting to a situation where the plugin architecture, even audio units, is going to become fragmented again. It's going to almost, you have to write it to work within a specific application because it's so heavily sandboxed. So you're going to end up with even more fragmentation of plugin formats, which seems like a retrograde step. So, the plugin that you write for working with Apple's Logic may not be the same one that you want to work with Cubase or Pro Tools or whatever, and that, well, I mean, obviously not Pro Tools, but, the VST paradigm and the audio units paradigm is starting to be shifted away again down to the way that Apple are sort of pushing everything security-wise. And that seems to be the biggest kind of scare in terms of where this is going, because it's just, I mean, that's just going to mess everything up again. We're going to go back to kind of some other nonsense. I mean, it just seems crazy. I don't know.
I just upgraded,
To what? To Mountain Lion?
No.
10.4?
I just upgraded to 10.6.8.
Good man.
Yeah, which is great.
Snow Leopard.
I have to say, I think that's a classic operating system.
It does work very well. But even that I had grief with, actually. I have to say, I kind of got forced into it in a couple of ways. And one of them was that Native Instruments sent me this thing, and they said, you bought Abbey Road drums, and we want to give you Abbey Road Drummer for free. And I thought, oh, brilliant. So I downloaded it, 8 gigabytes or something, put it on my drive, tried to run it in Contact, and it said, you need the latest version of Contact to run this. So I downloaded the latest version of Contact, and that said, you need at least 10.6.8 to run this. So it was kind of, it sat there for a while I thought about what to do. And then eventually I kind of took the plunge. But even that jump to something that's really stable and all of the things have been ironed out, it just went horribly wrong for about 2 days. And I had to just kind of surf around on the net, finding all the solutions to different things and going in and doing pseudo things, which I never like doing, whatever, like when you go in the terminal and type stuff. So I had to do a couple of those kind of things. And then had to change some drivers around and had to go into really deep into the system and delete a couple of things. So it made new preferences for things and stuff like that to even get my audio to work. So I mean, at least if you update to something that's been around a while, you know that the solutions are out there. But and then I thought, well, maybe I'll upgrade to Lion now. But of course I can't now, because if I go into the App Store to upgrade to Lion, it wants to sell me Mountain Lion. So I guess I'll just stay in 10.68 for a while and until I get another computer now, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing I was wondering, because I'm getting to the point now where I might need to get a new machine. If I get a new machine, like one of the new laptops, am I going to be able to run anything prior to Mountain Lion on it?
Yes.
Rich nods.
Maybe not.
Right now, the brand new laptops come with Lion on them. I thought it was a really weird move for them to pull Lion the day they posted Mountain Lion from their App Store. I thought that was really a very strange thing for them to do.
I mean, it's nice. It's nice that I can pay $20 whatever it is and upgrade from 10.6 to 10.8, but I might not want to do that.
No, you might not want to do that. And right now, if you're going to run any kind of DAWs other than Ableton, you probably don't, or maybe Motu, but you probably don't want to do that.
In Mountain Lion's defense, so I have to say that the
let's have some good news.
Yeah, mission control is good. It works nicely now because Expose was fine under Snow Leopard, and then when they brought out this thing called mission control, which is this way where you can kind of see all the apps and desktops that you've got running in sort of with like a swipe on the trackpad. It was just really frustrating before under Lion. If you wanted to drag an app from one window to another, it was just really awkward. It seems to work like it should now, so that's cool. I mean, it's not exactly a headline-grabbing thing,
it doesn't seem like a reason that you'd want to upgrade and go through all of that hell, to be perfectly honest.
It's actually a big deal to me, but it always worked great in Lion. I don't remember experiencing any difference whatsoever between Lion and Mountain Lion in that regard.
Yeah, right. For instance, if you wanted to drag like an app, you had to do it. It was it's just it works the way it should. I think there was just like a restriction. I can't remember quite what it was. Whether you couldn't drag. I think now. Hang on, I'll just test this before I say.
Oh, what's going to happen? You're going to go whizzing about?
No. I was just testing. You can when you open up the mission control thing. You can move files. You can move things around freely. I think there was a restriction in Lion. I can't quite remember what it was, but it used to really wind me up.
What wound me up was that between Spaces and Mission Control, they decided to get rid of the second dimension. You used to be able to go horizontally or vertically with your desktops. And they got rid of the vertical layer, and now it's all just side-by-side stuff. Yes. And I got really used to using a grid of desktops that I would set up on all my computers, and now it's all got to kind of lay side by side, and that's just the way it is. But I do like the implementation of the gestures, the trackpad gestures into Mission Control quite a bit. And I do run like a bunch of different desktops all the time on all my computers.
Yeah,
and I find it really useful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, it seems like there are some. I mean, these are kind of more general work, just working stuff rather than specific to audio, perhaps, unless you've got particular apps going on in those windows and you kind of move between tools, I guess, Rich. But I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder whether there's any sort of great advantage from an audio production point of view to going to this. I mean, it just seems like a load of headaches, and at the moment, and until you're bound to get to that situation where you think everything's fine, and then you're doing a project and you just try and do something that you only do every once in a blue moon, and you think, I need that plugin, and it says, no, sorry, that's one of the things that doesn't work. I mean,
That's true with pretty much any OS upgrade, though.
yeah. So
The
just be.
security aspect initially.
I think the key is really just be very careful, and please make sure you back up and and give yourself some time for it to work. I mean, these things are all going to seem fairly obvious things to suggest, but I mean, we're talking. Like I say, I run 10.6.8 here. I don't kind of really see any need to go any higher. There's nothing in it that there's nothing about Mountain Lion I need to on a day-to-day basis at this point. And frankly, I've only got 4 gigs of RAM in all the machines here, and perhaps I need to get some more RAM. But the RAM for the Mac Pros is still incredibly expensive, and I resent paying such a high amount for it. So that's why.
Not that expensive around here.
Oh, isn't it? Maybe I should get you to get me some. Mine's such an old machine that I think perhaps it's.
Oh, well,
maybe.
if you have that RAM that they carved into stone tablets, then no, I can't help you.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably what I've got. I've got stuff that's made by dwarves in some sort of special mine and shipped. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's what I kind of need basically. Right, let me see, what else have we got? I think we probably should just quickly take a look at this last video because it really is. It's just something very special. Now, see if I can find. Oh yeah, here we are. I think, Dave, you might know what this is all about. Oh, here it comes. Or not. Ah, there we go.
Hello. This may seem a strange place to start a video on synthesizers, but in fact I'm here in the middle of the Hertfordshire countryside at Museum Studios to have a look at some of the world's best loved synthesizers. Come with me. Right.
This was posted by Lee Kemp, who is a listener from Bristol. I don't know if he's live in the chat room today. I haven't seen his name go past, but he may be. Thanks for this, Lee. This is like a couple of hours of video, and it's all to do with this amazing collection of synthesizers from. I'm guessing it was in the 90s. This was made. And what's quite funny about this is if we go, there's just tons and tons. He's got like loads of everything. It's just amazing. And I think if I get up to about. Let me see. There's about 50 minutes somewhere. There's a end credits, and let me just see if I can find.
In years to come.
Let me see. Oh, here it comes. Go on. Ah, Dave Spiers. There you are, you cheeky little so and so. What were you doing on that then? Were you one of those guys standing there with the kind of boom mic?
Oh God, I had so many chores on that. A bit of back history was my business partner was the guy who was interviewing people like Bob Moog and whatnot, and he said I was trying to do a kind of DVD, CD thing, video thing on vintage synths, and all of a sudden the phone rang, and it's this guy here, a guy called Martin Newcomb, saying he's opening a synth museum in his house in the countryside in Essex, and we were like, yeah, this is obviously a wind up. Can you fax through the list, please? So he faxes through this list, and it just doesn't stop coming. And by about the second page, I was just like lying on the floor, just kind of going, oh my God. And then we went to see it, and it was just even more, oh my God. I think he was a banker, a merchant banker of some sort, or worked in the city. Anyway, he made a ton of money on Black Friday, Black Wednesday, Black Orange Tuesday, or whatever it was. And had spent it all on synthesizers. About 3 million quid. Woo! And we were just like, wow. And his aim was to turn it into a working museum. So it was a studio and a museum. And then we were commissioned to film the open day. But actually, because he was a banker, he didn't know anyone in the industry. So we invited all of the people that you saw in the later video. Bob Moog, Rick from Underworld was there.
Yeah, I saw him, yeah.
Looking very, very young,
and Rez gets a bit of soundtrack placement there as well. I noticed.
Yeah, and it was quite funny because I do remember Carl walking in and sort of looking around and just saying one word to me and going, "Why?" and then walking out. But it was a really amazing day. Dave Robinson was there, a load of the Future guys were there, and it was absolutely amazing. But alas, it really was the age old. I mean, he really had taken it to extremes. You know, the how do you make £1,000,000 in the music business? He started with 3, and I don't think it ever really led to anything. Keeping the stuff going was a total nightmare, especially on that day because there was no air conditioning in the room. Bob Williams, you know how big and beefy Bob is with his Gold's Gym. He was going around trying to sort of fix things and repair things as they were breaking down. It was really pretty hilarious, but an amazing day. And yeah, like Bob, I think Bob Moe got stung in the mouth by a wasp.
Oh my
or a
God.
bee, and he's allergic to that, so that caused a bit of drama. Flood was playing on the lawn. That's quite trippy.
Wow. I must admit, it does. If the guy was a successful investment banker, you kind of think, and therefore, this idea is clearly going to have gone through some due diligence. And yes, I think, you know, we look at the graphs after sort of 3 years, we'll break even. Or what? I mean, in what any possible way is that ever likely to have ever happened, even in his lifetime?
Well, and he didn't really play. He just kind of loved the bands that made music with this stuff. So he was I'd just finished
Super
working
fan.
with Shakespeare's sister, and he was a massive Shakespeare's sister fan. So the mere fact that I'd kind of invited a couple of them up there and they arrived was just like, you know, he was like, oh my God. It was almost on a par to sort of Bob turning up and opening the place. It was pretty amazing. I mean, that was kind of the first time I'd spoken to Bob Moog on the phone a couple of times prior to that, but that was the first time I'd really met him and spent some real time in his company. And he's an amazing character, really. And I think you get an idea of that from the opening thing. Anyway, it was all really entertaining. There's even a picture of me and Andy Shillito in those final little bits, sort of huddled down, bent over something.
Andy Shillito came on the show. Actually, he's a very well-known front of house sound. I'm just wondering, do you know what's happened to it? I mean, it's a big collection. Has it just gradually been dissipated and kind of sold off? And do you know anything? What's the history of it since then?
Some of it went to Turnkey afterwards. He kind of moved premises, and the very first part of that video with that kind of strange guy from BBC, like CBeebies or something. That wasn't anything. We didn't do that. We did this kind of opening day thing, which is the whole middle section and end section. He then moved properties because it was really trippy. It looked like a changing room for a non-existent swimming pool in a giant council house in the middle of Essex. And when you went in, you went down the stairs, and it just opened out into this enormous dome full of stuff. So he then moved to, I think it was near Dunmow or somewhere like that, and had the collection in there. And I think maybe that's the first part of the video. Turnkey then had some of it later on, but Benj has got some of it in his studio now.
Right. Well, that was in fact the last week's show on YouTube. I don't know the big pile of hooey titled that. The studio shots got loads of comments. There were people going, "Oh, that's where I work." And there's some of Benj's studio there as well, isn't there? Which just looks absolutely fabulous, and it's all working. That's the thing about it. It's all in there working and plugged up.
Yeah. I keep saying, you know, when you have this stuff, you have an obligation to keep it alive. There's no point sticking it in a room and never using it. That's kind of criminal, I think. And that's why I really like that old idea of a working synth museum that bands could kind of go in there and go, right, I want the Byrotron, or I want to, want to use that 2500. That's why I love Benji's place.
Yeah. And Mark, I'm guessing that, did you get a chance to have a look at this video?
I did start watching it. I realised that it was something that I would need to spend. Yeah. It's over an hour long, so I'm going to come back to it. It reminds me of I go to lots of steam fairs and vintage car rallies because I'm sort of into that as well. And any of the films that anybody ever makes about those things have the same kind of voiceover and the same kind of intricate detailing. And just something about that. Men particularly doing that, standing around in kind of like trying to pull their bellies in and stand up tall and having a chat about the color of the knobs on something. That's what I was talking about last week, actually. But it has a sort of I don't know. It has a kind of a pipe and slippers feel about it, doesn't it? It's almost like intrinsically British as well. The way that we present this sort of stuff, and it's almost like an
Fred Dibnah
Asperger's
could have done
kind
it,
of-
couldn't he?
Yeah, it's an Asperger's guy's dream, really. So I will be sitting down to watch that at some point. And
Any
give
one
it
of those that you saw that you would
view.
just any one synthesizer you'd like to take away from that particular massive haul?
I don't know. I mean, the demonstration of the Mellotron in the middle was quite nice, actually. I mean, I've never really had a chance to have a proper play with a real one of them. I mean, I'd like to make tapes for one. I know it's just like a pointless exercise in this day of samplers and things, but just from a sort of an organic and artistic kind of viewpoint, it might be nice to make my own sample tapes and put them in a Mellotron and just see how it. There's something about how it works that excites me.
It's kind of
I
fascinating.
have no idea why. Yeah, it's just.
Excellent. Anybody else? Any kind of takeaway points from that video? I don't know. Rich, you kind of like you worked as sales guy for some of those kind of companies back in the day in I'm not sure if it was California. I'm guessing it possibly wasn't. See anything there that you just thought, oh yeah, I remember seeing one of those. Anything specific?
I didn't get a chance to look at it, Nick. So
Okay, fair enough.
Comment on it.
There is one thing I think is very important to take away from this video, and that is, as a man, don't tuck your shirt into your trousers.
Is there something about that?
It just looked quite weird.
It was
didn't
of an
I
age
mean, I
though.
know
When,
it
when
the
was that
90s.
shot? What, 90?
I think it's about 93.
Right.
I think it was 93. It's either 92 or 93.
Okay, probably late enough to not be in the trousers tucked in kind of scenario.
The tuck is totally in with the kids now, though.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
know nothing, do they?
I don't buy that. The kids haven't got any trousers. They're all down on their
No.
knees.
Yes, exactly.
Don't get me started, for
No,
goodness.
it is. Honestly, I think it's a fashion reaction to that, and it's like really high trousers, really fully tucked in. It's sort of that's the
I
look.
see.
That's the look.
The cowl look.
Right, vest in pants.
Can I just mention Andy Keys in the chat room has been saying that the M Audio Venom, he just bought one from Toman for 100. They're going for 168 quid.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now that is
a bargain, and a very good bargain. I'm not sure that the current owners of M Audio would be so delighted with all of their stock being undercut by that amount, but that is a bargain. Absolute bargain.
Because yesterday me and Nick tested the kind of class compliancy of that particular model with running it with an iPad, and which you can use audio and MIDI simultaneously just through a single connection, and it worked a treat.
It
So
did
I mean,
work,
yeah. So I mean, 168 quid. I mean, and that's not taking into account that it's got a really decent sounding synth on board. It's a silly bargain, isn't it?
That does seem dirt cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend it personally as a deal. Not that we have any affiliation or are making any money out of it. Sadly, maybe we should. Maybe we should be the retailer. I don't know. Anyway, but good point, Gaz, and nicely spotted. So thanks, Andy Keys. Thank you very much for that. Anybody got anything to add to that particular topic, or should we call it a day? It's I seem to have had a surfeit of them today, but actually didn't need to use them all, which is good because I can use some of them next week. So thanks ever so much. I also wanted to say, of course, don't forget we've got our Isotope Iris competition that's still open at the moment. In fact, if I switch to that, you'll probably be able to see a little bit of action there. sonicstate.com/iris. We have got, I don't know how many entries there are now, but there are quite a lot. I suppose I could play a bit and see what happens. What happens if I play a bit? Will you able to hear that? I could play us out, I suppose, with a few Iris competition. And remember, this is the Iris competition. They've put up £6,000 worth of software in prizes, so well worth it. You download a free demo of Iris, which is sample-based kind of synthesis and kind of, transformational bit of software. Dave will know because Dave had a hand in designing it. You can download it for now. You get 10 days to make some sounds, and then you can enter a competition where you could possibly win £2,000 worth of Isotope software. If you're the complete winner, you win £2,000. There's also 5 categories which you could win a grand's worth of software. So you could get that and a couple of other things. So I thoroughly recommend that you maybe check that out. Let me just go back to that. That's sonicstate.com/iris is the place to go if you want to enter that competition, and well worth doing so, in my humble opinion. So I think what we might do is probably time to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you ever so much for everybody for joining us. It's been a... Oh, I thought that was somebody else. That's Iris coming at you. You're probably not hearing that. Can you hear that, chaps?
I can hear it.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, so I want to say, first of all, I'll say thanks to Gaz Williams over there in Bristol, songsurgeon.co.uk. That's not Gaz, that's Gaz. I know, Gaz, you were a bit worried that your website hadn't been updated for a while. You were on iWeb or whatever it's called, were you?
Yeah, my website's dead at the moment. I've just put like a really basic thing up just initially, just when I get time. I'm going to redo it all.
All right, well, when you're ready, go over to songsurgeon.co.uk and see what... I think the website was good. Don't go now. Right, okay, well, don't go. I'll take that away. Anyway, Gaz, thank you very much for joining us. Very great pleasure. And I'm going to switch to Dave Spiers now, who's making funny faces over there. So I just thought I'd warn him before I switch to him. Dave Spiers, G4 Software. Thank you for joining us as well. If you're... Is this all this music just having an effect? It just makes you want to dance. You were talking about the Prophet 10 making you want to dance. It's actually Isotope Iris competition entries are just kind of making you move. G4 Software, thank you very much for joining us, Dave. I can't hear you.
Thank you, Nick. I'll turn it down.
Oh, is it too loud for you? Grandad? All right, mate. Anyway, thank you very much, Dave. And we'll also say thank you very much to Rich Hilton, who is over there in Connecticut. I'm guessing he's going to be going back into the studio to do some more mystical scoring gig. So, Rich Hilton, if you speak, I can switch to your lovely face there, because you'll pop up into the bigger window. Woof. Oh, it didn't work.
Well, it's something going on. It's really loud.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
There we go. Hi there.
It's the wrong fader. That's right. Anyway, Rich Hilton, thank you very much for joining us as well. Hiltonius.com for all your Rich Hilton needs. Off into the studio to do some great work with Nile Rodgers and some secret project now. Is the man in the speeding limousine revving the engine saying, "Come on, Rich, time to go"?
I think I hear him now.
Rich, your car is here. Anyway, Rich, thank you very much for joining us. A pleasure as always. And also we'll say thank you very much to Mark Tinley, who's looking very reclined.
Yes,
You're looking like on your sort of day bed there.
I'm doing the the porn star thing now.
I was going to say the not the porn star. I was going to say something along the lines of
Look at my long legs.
I was thinking the author who's working from home, just on the daybed, sort of. You could be like Dame Barbara Cartland, who's just going to dictate to somebody, and your works will be.
That would be.
Put on. Wouldn't that be great?
Do that.
Anyway, Mark Tinley, likebeing.com. Thank you very much for joining us.
I was just wondering how I'm going to get sonified in the Iris. What's my background sound? Oh, silence.
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you. I've turned that up a little bit. Sorry about that. I didn't have. I had another set of faders that I wasn't aware of, because this is coming out by my MacBook Pro rather than any of the other myriad sources. So once again, just want to say, go on, enter the competition. sonicstate.com/iris. We got some great entries, but there's room for a lot more. Thank you very much. Right, that was Sonic Talk number 279. I want to say thank you again for everybody joining us. Thanks to those guys in the chat room. If I flip to you guys, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you in, and thanks for your input. Oh, look, $240 in the US for Venom. That's cheap too. So that was it. Sonic Talk number 279. It's all over, and you're just listening to some of our Iris competition entries. Thank you.